Who else was in on Davante Adams and or Amari Cooper that didn't get him, Tom?
It's the same teams that are in on all these trades. Let's speak, specifically on Davante Adams, even though, I think that I said on this show when I was filling in for it a few weeks ago, like it would be a surprise if it doesn't end up being the Jets, despite the Saints making a run at it. The Bills were in on it. The Steelers were in on it. There were other teams that checked as well. It seemed like Davante was probably going to go to the Jets. There were a couple of reasons for that. Obviously for Davante, playing with Aaron Rodgers in a system that he knows, being up to speed quickly, that all mattered. But also for the Raiders, they did not want to pay any portion of Davante Adams' contract. And they told some of those other teams, like the Steelers, like the Bills, we're not going to do that. Well, those teams couldn't go there or at least the Bills could not go there from a money perspective. And so what do the Bills do? Well, they get Amari Cooper, who Cleveland had paid almost $19 million of his $20 million salary in a cap move back in March. So they get Amari Cooper here for like $800,000. That's part of the dynamic. We always talk about like what the pick is. And even though on paper, these are both third round picks that are moved. Obviously there was a pick swap involved in the Cooper deal, and the Adams deal can go to a 2, but they're both basically third round picks here. But a lot of times in order to get that type of capital, you're going to have to pay the contract down. That's what we saw Denver do a few years ago with Von Miller. They got, I think, a second and a third round pick for a guy in a contract here, and it worked out for the Rams because they won the Super Bowl. But part of that was they paid it down to the minimum. That's going to be one of the questions here. You have to have the salary cap space. The rules say the acquiring team has to have the salary cap space at the time of the trade. So for some teams like the Bills that are tighter, you either have to, A, get a guy on the cheap like Amari Cooper, or B, get the trading team to pay that contract down. Mm-hmm. So who else potentially could be in the wide receiver market? The Saints, again, were in on Davante Adams. I would anticipate that they're in on the other wide receivers who become available. Although, again, at this point at 2 and 5, how much are you really giving up for a rental type of situation?
What
the
about
Steelers continue to be in on wide receivers as well.
What about the Ravens? I got John Harbaugh later.
Yeah, the Ravens have been, I think, at least, Eric DeCosta always he's one of the GMs who's kind of always in on every deal. Howie Roseman's in that same category. I would bet Howie's having wide receiver, not that he needs one, but he always wants to be informed if somebody's going to get moved and see if, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here. The Ravens thing was funny because, I was told that there was a presentation actually before the Ravens played the Raiders in that game. The coaches give different types of presentations, and one of the presentations was about like Edgar Allan Poe being a part of Baltimore culture, and he wrote The Raven and all these things. So Davante posts that photo of Edgar Allan Poe, and everyone's going, he's going to the Ravens. There was nothing down the line at that point, and it might have just been stuck in Davante's head from the team meeting a couple of weeks before. This is the thing. We're all going to have the Instagram and the Twitter alerts on and seeing, and there's going to be cryptic stuff. And, listen, over the past 5 years especially, more and more we've seen the players realize, hey, whether you're available and something is real or maybe it's not, and you just start posting cryptic stuff, maybe you can kind of, generate some type of a market that otherwise wouldn't have been there just by getting people calling and going, hey, what's going on with that guy?
Nice. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.